Stand for the pledge. The flag's right behind you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I get it.
Okay.
I was up, but Kelly did something to it, so I'm running on her. Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order. We just need to approve some routine items. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of January 16th. Accept and order file the minutes of Committee on Special Education for the dates listed. And accept and order file the minutes of Committee on Preschool Special Education. Do we have a motion? So moved by, seconded by Heidi. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that carries. And nothing for special meeting minutes, right?
Yes, there are, so that, it just didn't say it, so it's the 23rd.
Okay, and I also need a motion to approve the minutes for the January 23rd special board meeting on the capital project approval. Do we have a motion? Moved by Megan.
Second.
Second by Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. And that moves us to the superintendent's report.
Yeah, so I will go last because we have a bunch of visitors here, so I pushed them to the top of my superintendent's report. So we have BOCES here this evening to talk about CTE programs and other programs and share their strategic plans. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Tarina Parker. Although we're happy to have you here, the people sitting behind you are the ones that we love to hear from.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. Your students absolutely will be the highlight, so we'll get to them very shortly. Very happy to be here with you this evening. As always, we love to be able to brag a little bit about our programs and about the impact that we feel that we have on students and share a little bit about their experiences and about the great things that we're doing at our BOCES. This evening I have here with me one of our board members, Dave Petruska, and also Kelly Shepard, our director for the Exceptional Learners Division. What you have in front of you is a one-pager, as always, that just sums up some of the services that we offer at our BOCES program. And also new this year, we have our Future Focus for All Students strategic plan. We're a little bit like Disney over at BOCES, so we have been having lots of fun just being innovative and finding new ways to just reimagine the things that we do for our students and in collaboration with our districts, and just thinking big and really just funneling all of our efforts into a common shared vision and a shared set of goals for our districts and for our BOCES. And so once our students are done this evening, we'll share our strategic plan video where we'll talk a little bit about our vision for the years ahead. But we'll move on to letting our students share a little bit about their experiences, and please ask them questions. They're prepared to share a little bit with you about their day-to-day lives here at BOCES.
All right, guys, you're going to come right up here. Remember, we're all going to come up together. Have you guys kind of stand over here?
Okay, I think we're
All right. You all good? Okay.
Good evening. My name's Kelly Shepard. I'm the director for Exceptional Learners, but thrilled to be here this evening with some of our CTE and ECCA students. So I'm just going to go have them introduce themselves and their programs, and then we'll talk a little bit about their programs.
Eden Rogers, Criminal Justice. I'm Ariana Harrington, and I'm in Health Occupations.
Lucian Brown, I'm in IT Networking.
I'm Alex Kitchen, I'm in Criminal Justice.
I am James Birch, and I'm in Advanced Manufacturing.
Aaron Pond, and I'm in Construction Trades.
All right. So can we get a couple of you to tell us why you chose to go to BOCES, why you chose the program you did? Who wants to start us off? Go for it.
I chose Health Occupations because I would like to be a nurse, and getting my CNA out of high school sounded like the right choice to me. Yeah, so just further my education and something that I enjoy.
Awesome.
I think I chose to go into the IT networking program because there's an ever-changing career that is unfolding every year. There's like millions of new jobs, so it's a really good money-making opportunity for me. And I also get an associate's degree right out of high school as well, all paid for from the school as well, which is a really good benefit.
I chose to do the advanced manufacturing because I really sat back and thought everything around us is manufactured in some type of factory. So there's a lot of job opportunities and a lot of learning within it.
I chose construction because I felt like I could help people out there build houses, and I felt like it was easier for me to learn more at BOCES.
I chose criminal justice because it was a field I'm interested in, and I just wanted to see what the actual reality of all my options within the field, and just looking for a little bit more direction where I want to go.
I chose criminal justice so I could have more options for careers in colleges.
All right. So Alex and Eden, you guys are in criminal justice. You want to start telling us a little bit about your program?
Yeah, so we work out of the International Foundation of Protection Officers book. It's just a security book. We go over a lot of different procedures and policies on how you would handle things, like if there was a intruder or like a fire alarm, just how you would handle different things. We also just kind of we do some field trips. A few weeks ago, we went to Great Meadow State Prison. We did like a tour around there. We also have some different police departments, and we had the county sheriffs. They came in and they kind of gave us some of their demonstrations. But we do a lot of book learning, but we also learn a lot about the court system and just a lot of your different rights. We also have a mock trial coming up, so we can kind of mess around with that and how that would actually go.
Did you miss anything?
Once in a while, we have people come in, such as coroners or the Glens Falls Police Department, and we do evidence bagging, and they show us the correct way to bag or arrest procedures that they do with us.
Great. Going to pass it on.
In health occupations, we do, last year and this year, we have been going to clinicals, so we have been in nursing homes, helping take care of people in many different ways. And after our CNA exam, we will be going to the hospital to explore some of the options there. Yeah, I just really enjoy that our math and our English is tailored to what we are interested in at BOCES.
And then in the IT program, similar to what she said with the math and English, we're also getting math and English that is tailored to our education towards IT networking. And last year, we went on lots of field trips to like local companies like RASP or Ace Hardware, where we can ask them about how their IT programs are. And we can go on internships there while we're still going to BOCES, and we can get some experience there so that one day we can eventually work there as well. And then we do have a lot of hands-on labs that we can do. Most of them are instructed, but a lot of them are also on our own, so we can play around, figure it out a lot. But that's, yeah.
In our college, we do get credits just like them. We get our math, science, and we do like electricity. We do public speaking, so there is like a wide variety of things that can help you learn. And we use a lot of machines and coding, and I feel like it is pretty cool, and that's why I enjoy it so much. But
In construction, we help people. We built a shed for a company in Saratoga, and then we're going to be building a tiny house and then we'll be selling that. And then the math part is basically helping us learn how to use tape measures and rulers, and that's it.
So you guys started talking a little bit about the academics in the class. Can you tell us a little bit about how the English is in your classes? Because it doesn't look like a regular English class, and maybe about some of the internship opportunities I know some of you have coming up.
So our English class teaches us internships, and Miss Monastero would sit down with us and she would interview us, so she would know what it's like. And she also had us do cover letters, thank you emails, and stuff to help us prepare for that. We also, me and Alex are doing interviews. I'm doing one for probation. Internships.
Yeah, but as she said, with the English class, we do a lot more like resumes, cover letters, everything to help you get progressed into a job and coming out of an interview, just moving forward with things like that. We applied for a bunch of internships at the beginning of the year. I have 2. I have a ride-along with the Hudson Falls Police Department one of these days, and then I also have to go to a coroner's office at some point. But there's a lot of different opportunities that we get offered with the internships. Those are just the ones I chose.
For my English and health occupations, I get to learn things that go along with the health field, and then I get to write about them. So along with the resume and cover letters and interviews that I started last year, I do write about the things that I'm learning, which do help me pertain them a little better.
The English class that I'm in is actually, ironically, a public speaking class, which just kind of has us go in front of the class, make presentations, and then try and make it so that it's coherent. Not a lot of likes and ums like that was, but we also get a lot of internship opportunities in the IT program. With Mr. DiCrescenzo, he's networked with a lot of companies in the area, like the entire 518. So like if we wanted to go to like maybe Stewart's or Cumbies and like work with their IT program, we could. I actually chose to work here at the Hudson Falls Central School District because I know the staff here the best. You know, it's a comfortable environment for me personally.
Like he said about Mr. DiCrescenzo, he helps us like with job fairs and stuff. So at the college, there's a ton of different companies, whether it's in IT or advanced manufacturing, that get you a lot of connections, like throughout, and a lot of easy connections.
In English and construction, we learn how to read blueprints and we learn how to do our resumes. So once we find a job, we know how to fill that out. And then internships, I haven't got one yet, but I'm hopefully getting one next year for my second year.
So my favorite part that I always love when I get to meet with the students beforehand is to find out what their favorite part is, but more importantly, what their future plans are, because they have lots of plans.
My favorite part would be the work-based learning, where we'd have a lot of people come in, where we could do a lot more hands-on things. My future plans would definitely be going to college, so I can major in psychology.
My favorite part about Health Doc is, I really enjoy the hands-on learning that we do in the lab. We do that pretty much every week. And then also being able to go and actually physically help people is nice. And it really sets me up for my future. And my future plan is to go to college, get my BSN in nursing, and move to North Carolina and pursue that there.
My favorite part is, again, the work-based learning, having people come in and show us physically how to do their jobs and like the process part of it and just all the reality part, not like everything you'd see on TV. Another great part is the teacher. Mr. Gillis, I'm sure some of you may know him, but he brings a lot of life to the class. It's a lot of paperwork-based. We can just kind of get lost in boredom and words along with paragraphs, but...
My favorite part of the IT networking program is a lot of the hands-on work that we do there. Being the IT networking class, we're obviously making networks like from scratch, and we have a program called Packet Tracer we use a lot, which is just on a computer and you can just make it virtually. And you can just watch it, speak in the language of the computers, and it's just really fun to just mess around with and create. And for my future plans, I'm thinking of either continuing, get a bachelor's in networking, maybe even a master's if I'm really feeling up to it, or go into the Air Force and get like actual field training that is also paid for. So
I would say my favorite part, as I kind of said, is like the way you learn. And then, like, there's different topics in the college than there is at high school. I don't really get to take electricity here or advanced manufacturing for that. So you do electricity labs, you get to use these machines, and I don't really find a lot of that within the high school. And my future plans, I mean, there's definitely a couple ways I could go, but if I wanted to continue out with the advanced manufacturing, I would probably get a mechatronics degree, and then that could lead me to a lot of opportunity.
My favorite part of construction is being able to actually build something and have other people see it. And then I think my future will be either getting a job or going to a trade school and seeing where I can go after that.
Great. Do you have any questions for these
youngsters.
That was super informative, I'll tell you that. Yeah. You're taking all my questions there. That was impressive.
I have a couple questions.
Go for it.
So Erin, is there an area of construction that you like best, like welding or carpentry or plumbing, or do you just like it all, soup to nuts?
I just like it all.
That's awesome. And Alex, what you said that you wanted to get kind of an idea of what was in criminal justice. Are you leaning towards one career or another?
Probably something within law enforcement, going through that. The investigative part of things seems really cool, along with the patrol things. Just how everybody's coming and describe it's not really a job. You know, you drive around in a car, helping people out. Also just solving problems and situations, so it seems like a way to do things.
Anything else? Any other questions?
I just have a quick one. When in the high school setting, how did you find out about, or what was the inception point where you transferred over courses?
Great.
So my mom and my sister both went to BOCES, and they had told me that it's a completely different experience than your regular high school, and I thought that that was good for me, getting out there, meeting new people, and being able to get a certification while I'm doing that was really nice. And then I went on the trip that the school took us to BOCES, and I knew that I wanted to go.
You sure? I found out through my brother, who ended up taking welding. What really dragged me onto it was the fact that he had like one class here and the rest study halls, so we could pretty much come and go when he wanted. But going in for every single other programs that were offered, I saw a lot that I was interested in, and saw how he was learning and a lot of different valuable information and trades he was getting. Turned out pretty well, so I figured this would be something I should try out.
I actually got into the ECCA program through P-Tech in roughly 7th grade. I signed up for that. Then in 8th grade, I had a lot of these bridge activities, which are like 4-hour-long activities that are like a broad range of like coding, networking. There were some advanced manufacturing ones as well. And the IT networking one just really stood out to me, and that's where I started getting more of an interest for that. And then in 11th grade, we started going to the college for half of the day and then learning about it more there.
I found out about the early college program it was a flyer, I believe, that we got in the mail. And I read on what you could do there, and I saw advanced manufacturing. And then when I read up on the benefits, you get college credits. So someone that's planning to go to college, I think those free credits at no cost would make no sense not to. You want to speak?
I found out from my father. He told me that because he went there. And then when I went on the tour, I felt like construction was definitely my favorite.
Yeah. So you guys are still taking some classes here as well, right? So how have you found it time management-wise, balancing between the stuff that you do here and what's due here, and then what you're doing at BOCES and what's due there?
Who wants to take that question? Yeah, 2 volunteers.
So this year I only have one gym class and a social studies class, so it's pretty easy to balance everything. Last year it was a little bit more difficult, but it's pretty much the same amount of classes since I'm leaving for half my day. So yeah, and the things that I do at BOCES are easier for me because it's something that I understand.
The only really inconvenience that I have with the schedule is that my physics class happens to be cut short about half an hour because of the transport up to the college. But Mr. Vartuli is a fabulous teacher, and he's able to give me some a little slack and also catch up on a little bit of work. There's also the Zero Block program, which makes me go to gym at 6:30 in the morning, which isn't the greatest, but it also gives me a study hall in the afternoon that will allow me to catch up on work that I've missed from other classes.
Anything else?
I just have 2 more questions. It's what I do, I'm sorry. So for Lucian, do you guys talk about AI and how it's changing IT in general, and do you have an interest in AI?
We don't necessarily talk about it in general. I feel like next year when I'm into the more cyber part of it, we'll talk about that more. But in the networking class, that's not something that's really a topic of discussion. In my personal interest, I find it quite interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Can be dangerous.
It's scary,
obviously,
yeah.
but With how it's coded, I think it could be well controlled, though.
Awesome. And then I just have a question for James. What are you getting a degree in, and what is that? Because I've never heard that word before.
So mechatronics, if you think about the word mechanical and electronics.
Okay.
So it has to do with like the machines you're using in the systems and all like the wiring and everything that goes into everything. So there's a lot within it, and it's not just like one certain thing, but mechanical and electricity.
Tell them some of the things you built this year.
So this year, this year, we have 3D printed submarines and chess pieces. We have used CNC lathes that you have to code yourself, and we've made chess pieces out of that as well. And then we have CAM milling machines, and it's like a drill that goes down, and you have to code it to do everything. So we made what's called a goober hinkle, and that was just, that's what our professor had named it, and it was just to kind of, get us to learn the machines and things.
And then, if nobody else has any questions, for you're Eden, and your name is escaping me.
Me?
Yes.
Ariana.
Ariana. So, do you know what kind of nursing you want to do? Are you leaning in a certain?
So last year, if you asked me that question, I would not have had any idea. But this year, I would say I've been really into trauma nursing.
And you want to go into psychology, specific to law enforcement? Or okay. So what would some career paths?
Probation.
Oh, I see. Groovy.
Great. Anything else? All right. Well, I'm going to hand it back over to Dr. Parker.
Can we get a picture of the kids
Yeah.
before you break them up? Because they're all
Yeah.
they're all in a great spot. Brett's coming around.
Great job, Drew. Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys did such a great job.
Most informative presentation yet. That was outstanding.
All downhill from here, right?
I know, right?
That's right.
You guys sit down.
Everybody ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
An awesome job.
That was really amazing. I told you they were going to be outstanding. Those students are just, so thank you for sending them to us and allowing us to help shape their lives. They are so confident, and they came to us that way, but we had an opportunity to just help nurture that, and it's because of the partnerships that you allow us to create. And so, of course, you know that our newest board member, Heidi, is a member of our team, and Mr. Ward, he's going to spend all day tomorrow with us, and Mr. DiCaprio, he was with us all day today for our Curriculum and Assessment Council, and this is what we do. We partner, and behind the scenes, we make all kinds of decisions and do all kinds of work because we're really passionate about providing these kinds of opportunities to our students so that they can continue to thrive and learn all types of things about themselves and about their career paths and about who they are and who they want to be. And so at this time, we'd just like to show you our strategic plan video so that you can learn a little bit more about the vision that we have for where we'd like to be as a BOCES and as a community.
And probably one of the things that I'm most proud of is the fact that our BOCES is vision, and that our vision really is to be a trusted leader. And when you think about being a trusted leader in education, a trusted leader in innovation, a trusted leader in workforce development, it really starts with that key component of trust.
I think the overall picture of the strategic plan is this idea of doing a comprehensive review of all our programs and all the services that we offer districts and the communities we serve, and how do we move those into the next several years. The idea of being future focused for each student in a 360-degree view of all their needs, while also supporting staff and creating an environment where people want to come to work.
I think the important thing about a strategic plan really is it's just providing that focus. It's really thinking about each person who works for our organization, the ability, something to connect with, building that common language and purpose around the work that we do.
I feel like the mission creates more of a team environment, that we all have a focus for our mission and our day-to-day lives at BOCES.
I am so proud of our strategic plan, because what it does is it really gives us an opportunity to be future focused for our strategic plan, at the core of that, one of our biggest priorities in our plan is the student experience. So one of our primary goals is to enhance the student experience through service, through high-quality academics, and through our instructional objectives. We have districts sending their students to us because they can't provide what we can here. So they're seeking that programming for their students, whether it's CTE and that career and technical education, or on exceptional learner side, programming for students with disabilities and IEPs that need a different educational setting that they can't provide. So for us as a BOCES, it's important that we are focusing on what do districts need and how do we best support that? And if we don't have it right now, what do we need to do to get there? In order to provide a positive environment for our students, an environment that sustains excellence, we really have to support our staff. And now more than ever, it's not only about supporting the staff that we have, it's about implementing actions and initiatives in order to bring high-quality staff on board. It's about the human resources and the human capital that we have in front of us in order to provide the right kind of service for our districts and for our students.
I think that the strategic plan will create a stronger culture here at school between students and staff. I think it's only just going to improve the rapport that we've built among each other, and it's going to further prove that we are a leader in education here in the community.
And then finally, one of our priorities is operations. We think about operations in terms of facilities because the environment matters. And when we think about our strategic plan, we're focused on long-term planning for our students. We're focused on the physical environments that they walk into, the learning environments and the spaces that they walk into each and every day. But we're also focused on operations in terms of systems and having the right types of systems in place so that our operations flow smoothly, so that our work can be done most efficiently on a day-to-day basis. And so it's really those two buckets when we talk about operations. And those really are priorities that will sustain us over the next few years.
I love having a strategic plan. It's something that we can reference. It's a resource. It becomes our guiding compass for what we're doing. It's about becoming an organization, building a culture, setting roots, and really connecting with the people that we're working with. And I think that that's what's really going to bring our reputation in the community to a higher place. I also think it's going to be where people are going to want to stay for a long time and work because they're going to be proud to be there.
As with everything in education these days, we have to be flexible. We have to be ready to change with a moment's notice. And so the idea of being adaptable and flexible was really important when creating the action plan. Our priorities are big enough and large enough that we can make a shift if we need to. And we should be making shifts based on the responses and based on the things that we're seeing with our students, within our districts, and within our communities. So that idea around adaptability and flexibility is built right in so that we can adjust tasks, we can extend them, we can shorten them, we can do whatever we need to do to make sure that we're, again, working towards those priorities and that ultimate vision and mission.
I think the impact of having a strategic plan on stakeholders is just the fact that we really have an understanding and a roadmap of what we're trying to achieve and what we're working on. So when we turn to our stakeholders for involvement or for funds or support or bringing them into the classroom or getting our students out of the classroom to where they are, that roadmap and that strategic plan is going to give us our why every single time.
I appreciate so much that this is all in writing now and that we can look at it and read it and understand what the goals are and what the missions are, what the values are, to make sure that students are getting what they need, but that also our faculty and staff are being taken care of as well.
I think having that plan will be beneficial because I would like to grow even more in my time here. I think having that plan and having that vision, I think will also help me with achieving something I want. And what that is to be able to make change.
As an educator, I think that just seeing more community involvement will be a great indicator to me that our strategic plan is actually working and has had a successful rollout.
Thanks again so much for your time this evening. Heidi, Dave, I don't know whether you have anything to add?
Just
Just thanks for sending Heidi to us.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to spend time with you, and have a great board meeting.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You don't even have to do.
Have a great night. Thank you again. Great job.
You don't even have to do your, you don't have to stay. Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, they've done this a few times. So, my mic is on. Just going back through the rest of the superintendent's report, and that's a tough act to follow. And I thought for sure that Mr. Gall would offer something about the criminal justice instructor, but he did not. Since you two used to work together. But I wanted to just do one more thank you to the STEM kids, the Bex kids that were here last month. We went out and watched and came back in and started me. I know we thanked them in the hallway, but I wanted to make sure that's out there for anybody who watches our recordings or watches it live. It was cool to see them so involved in it. It didn't work exactly how they wanted to everything, but they were excited about it. And update on competitions, Mike, is there anything that?
They did great last weekend. They had their first competition over at Queensbury. They finished, I think, 4th, 7th, 10th, and somewhere else. Yep, all of them beat my kids' team. I can tell you that.
I didn't know that, but that's just a plus in making Mike report that out to the group. No, thank you for reporting out. I appreciate it. The board retreat, you can see we put out and asked about dates for that, so we are going to be able to do it before July when folks are trying to get that vacation in. So you can see it Tuesday, June 25th from 5 to 9. And I think Kelly might have already sent the invite out today or yesterday for everybody, so it's in your inbox if you haven't seen it. And we'll be working with NYSBA to come and run that for us, facilitate that for you. The 24-25 school calendar was linked in there. A couple of things to note on that. Based on work with the district shared decision-making team and them coming and asking for a couple of 2-hour spots to help take care of some professional development that's required each and every year. They asked if that could happen, and we discussed some data about what happens with our students when we have 2-hour delays or early releases. So we're starting out small because we don't want it to be a detriment to our kids attending school, but we also know there are so many more trainings that have to occur during the school year that we just can't fit it all into the superintendent's conference days. Believe it or not, 4 full days will not allow us to get the professional out that our teachers need along with all the required trainings. So that's one of the big differences. You'll see those on there. And the other just thing to know is that every so many years it hits a point where you can have a 2-week Christmas or holiday vacation or break. It's not a vacation for the 12-month employees, but this is the year. So the calendar that you're voting on has those one 2-hour early release and 1 2-hour late arrival for professional development, and it includes a 2-week break at the holiday time. Other than that, it's pretty standard to everything else you would see. Other than Asian Lunar New Year impacts the calendar, you'll see that on the 29th of January.
And then regions, testing days for new regions.
Yeah, and something that's become more prevalent over the last, I'll say, 6 or 8 years even, is you'll see there's some Regents days that occur early in June. That's because the Regents do that when they put out the new tests, because they need more time to post-equate them to figure out what the cut scores will be for passing or not passing. So you'll see that. It's been on the last several calendars. You'll see that for this calendar, and you'll see it again next year and the year after. Yeah, while they bring in the rest of the Regents exams. So that's information on that. BOCES budget vote, we polled the audience. We have to have a special meeting to vote on the BOCES budget. That's April 23rd at 3 p.m. and you can see who we had there to get our quorum. Anybody else we're happy to have you there. We try to pick a group, a time when we can get a group there to meet a quorum. It's usually a 5-minute meeting, and you all know that. I put a couple of things at your seats, and I'll start with an email that Jeff received along with me and some other folks here at school, but I'll let him speak to it briefly.
So as you guys can see, Dan made a copy for that. It was a positive letter that I responded to, and do you want to mention name?
I would not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you can see there, with all possible negative ones. We finally we got a good one here, so just take a look at that, and it's outstanding. So,
And then
very happy about that.
Yeah, very nice. Nice to get those kind words from folks and know that we know we're making a difference with kids every day, but it's nice to have somebody reach out and send something like that to us and all of you folks. You have a couple other things that you see. One is an infographic that deals with our strategic plan. So interesting to follow Dr. Parker and the stuff that she's handed out. Ours is a little bit more simple than what she's provided. And you will see that if you look at the top, you'll see it's version 14. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see that in my own handwriting, I'm correcting an error. But we're just about there. And the reason why I wanted to give it to you, and I would have corrected the error, but I don't control the program. So I can't change it. I don't have access to it. But I wanted you to have that so that at the next meeting, we can approve the infographic. So I'll get you an updated copy, but I wanted you to have this one. And it's got, it starts with our mission. And I know you folks spend a lot of time with mission, vision, values, just as I was starting, or actually a little bit before I started here. So that piece is above this in the hierarchy of things here at the district. And you can see the overarching statements. Those came from our stakeholders and all the meetings and the surveys that occurred over the last 12 months, let's say. So that work boiled down into district level goals that we worked on with the leadership team here at the school and then at the schools. And you can see the building objectives that I've been talking about in my weekly updates. So those are still being built, but you can see them very simplistically. And actually, once we get this work started and this approved, building objectives going forward will be part of the work of the building teams along with school administrators. So the bottom part you'll see change more because that's a back and forth of how that's going to operate in the school. Overarching statements and the district level goals are more sedentary. But again, we'll be flexible if we have to be. And just reading across there, modernize and maintain our facilities. It's obvious that we're already trying to do that work based on the building project we've been talking about for the last several meetings. So wanted you to have that in front of you so you can take a look at it. If you see other things, or if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. And I'll get you a final copy before the next board meeting. And then you have a copy of the postcard. I'm going to steal President Gollins right now. This is the actual postcard. It's much bigger than a postcard, but it's going out and it's gone to print and it's headed to the mailers. Yep. It'll be in mailboxes somewhere around the 20th, I would guess. That's the first piece, and the follow-up will be the newsletter a little bit later. And I stole a little bit of your thunder. Sorry, I forgot what we had talked about. So, why don't you have a copy? You're going to get a copy in the mail. So if you don't want an extra copy and want to leave that one, leave it. If you want to take it, take it. But we have a pile in the office for folks if they ask about them too. So, that's what I have for Superintendent's report. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ward. Yep. So we got to do a motion on. Let me get back to it here because I think I just got out of it. So we just need a motion, be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Central School District approves the 2024-2025 school calendar. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Crystal, seconded by?
Second.
Mike, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries. Thank you. Okay, so for President's report, we just updated that. There is just a brief discussion on the biochar plant that potentially is in the works right now. It's in process of the DEC for approval. Megan and I have been kind of actively following that, monitoring that, and going to meetings. If you want to touch base on the meeting that was just conducted on the 8th.
Yeah, last Thursday, actually, I went to the meeting that they held, the DEC held at the South Glens Falls High School. It was well attended, and there was a lot of information shared. And basically, you know, my first attending at the meeting I had attended on this was back in February of last year, and it was, as I was talking to Jeff, it's kind of been a process of ferreting out the details and what was really going on, and I think that's been the way for a lot of people. And the more I hear about it,
I'm just not sure that they're to the point where they can ensure the safety, especially for where our schools are, in the fallout cloud, essentially, of where any potential contaminants would be. I think all of our schools actually fall within that. And there's not going to be a lot of monitoring. There's a little bit of monitoring. They were saying at the meeting, once or twice it gets monitored early in the process after the thing gets up and going. And then the EPA does not require any further monitoring for 5 years. So, it's almost one of those situations where we wouldn't really know what's going on until it was too late. And so I mentioned it to Jeff. At the meeting, they had said that the village of Fort Edward and the village of Hudson Falls had both kind of spoken in support, and Carrie Warner was there also, and she spoke against the project for basically the reasons of we just don't know the health impacts of this and the lack of monitoring. And in addition, a lot of people mentioned that our community is already the site of the largest Superfund disaster in the country, being the PCB issue down in the Hudson. And I didn't realize it was the largest one in the country. They're saying, okay, we're just adding problems to problems here. If we try, this technology is not tested. It's brand new. It's going to be created in order to start this facility up. And, the consensus at that meeting on Thursday was that the public's not really sure that they wanted to be the guinea pigs for that. So I just brought it up to Jeff. If the board wants to take a position on it, our voice may lead to, lend more credence to the opposition if everybody's in line with that.
So is this a company that has to have like a vote in order to build, or?
Yeah, so they were actually already approved by the planning board in the town of Moreau, or was it the town board? I don't know if it was planning or, they've had their approvals for the town of Moreau. They actually have their approval from the EPA as well. And this is like the final layer is the DEC has to approve it. And so Wednesday and Thursday of last week was the opportunity to have community feedback on it. And actually, I sent Kelly, she probably can send it out, or is it in here under the link?
It's linked.
That's how you have until March 4th. And that's why it was a last minute ad, because I just kind of was getting information from Thursday on. You have to submit your comments by March 4th to the DEC, and they're going to have a review and a decision on whether the state will approve their end of things from the DEC.
Right. So just to touch base on the activity that I've had, acting as a village trustee, prior to yesterday's meeting that we had, we actually did support opposition to send to South Glens Falls Town Board, Village Board, and Town to support their opposition on that. Yesterday, we actually did take action to oppose the DEC permit based on no scientific data that would support being a safe project for our community. We are, as Megan said, we are directly in the plume of that. So unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with, and there's no scientific data to support that it's safe for our community. So as of right now, the last process is the DEC portion of this, and if that does get passed, I think unfortunately they're going to start with their building permits, and they have to do traffic studies on the thousands of trucks and stuff that are going to be on Bluebird Road or Saratoga, and that road right there that are entering that facility throughout the day.
Begs the question why they would pick an area that is so close to so many people and children. Why wouldn't they go like in the middle of a desert or something?
So the area is, it's actually part of the Moreau Industrial Park, the property they've got slated, but you're correct. And what you hear from them or from other folks who are in support of the project is that people, when you built your houses, you knew you built them next to the industrial park. At some point, there was going to be industry there. But part of that park is in our school district, for sure. The information about the plume is the word that Jeff and I have talked and Megan and I have talked and used. It encapsulates all of our school buildings, and there's very little information about it so far. There's enough environmental trauma in our area already.
Yeah, so the language that we have written up that Bill Nickus, our village attorney, is writing, is that the village of Hudson Falls is opposing the permit and until there's scientific evidence that proves that it's safe. So that's what we did. We did that yesterday. So that'd be the same language that I think Dan and I kind of spoke about. If the school board feels the same way about that, we can do that same language and attach it to the village's letter. If that's what it comes down to, or I can write one up and, we can do the support on that way. But that's something that, Megan and I feel strongly about. And
was there any information shared on why the EPA approved it?
There's a lot of language that was, in my opinion, misrepresented, regarding some of that. There was a gentleman who actually did a virtual presentation on that I think was not really put out there in a professional manner. And I think it led...
He's from the EPA or just
He's from the biochar company.
So as far as the EPA thing, it's sewage sludge is what they're going to be bringing in, and they allow land application of sewage sludge now. The EPA does allow it, but they're finding out that it has high levels of PFAs and PFOAs and contaminants in it, and it's actually, in the state of Maine, they banned the spreading of sewage sludge on their ground because of it, because they were finding it in the well water, in the products that were being grown, the crops that were being grown in the fields, in the livestock. So that's a process that already is EPA approved, and it's showing to be.
So their basis for approval was more that it did not violate any of their existing procedures or whatever.
I'm not sure, yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of information that really nobody truly does know, because it's been kind of vague, super vague, up until, this is the third and final approval piece of it.
And I think on the link there is, sorry, this was the information that was given out by the DEC, and there's a hyperlink there. You can type it in if you want to see the biochar permit documents. I think to the DEC, it's not the EPA approval process, but it might give you some more information.
Right. So I guess the situation we're dealing with now is if we do support, an opposition on this, it has to be filed before March 4th. So as a vote, or to send a letter in opposition of this, we probably should do it tonight if we're going to do that. Or we don't have to. It's truly. Okay. So just do a motion on it?
I sketched something out. Let me read something to you that I might, based on the conversation, what I might recommend. Motion to pass a resolution to oppose the biochar facility and to oppose the final permitting of the biochar facility until such time as there is substantial scientific evidence that it is safe and our schools and community will not be negatively affected. Does that capture the?
So you heard the recommendation, or the writing of, not the recommendation, but I think the language.
Does that fit what we're?
Yeah,
I think that's
I appreciate that you added until there is scientific evidence, because
Yes.
I think that's, we're not just opposing it.
Right.
Basically.
And that's what we did at the village level as well, just so you know, that's the exact same language that we did use, just in case there is something that,
Right.
So you heard the motion, do we have it, well, you didn't hear the motion, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay.
So we gotta have a first and a second. And
Yep, Heidi first, Megan second, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
9-0.
Thank you.
Got it, and I will work on getting that out. I'll also loop in Larry, obviously.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yes.
Good.
Absolutely. Okay, perfect. That concludes the president's report. That will move us to the committees. Personnel, Mr. Knee.
Okay, thank you. The Personnel Committee or the agenda for this month is pretty much routine for this time of the year, except for there are 4 announcements for retirements, and 3 in June 30th. Terry Larson, a teacher of 3rd grade, 17 years with us. Elizabeth Berry, 1st grade, 31 years with us. Teaching assistant Kim Schwab, 25 years. And on June 27th, teacher aide Sherry Cleveland, after 15 years, will be retired. Other than that, it's pretty much routine.
Outstanding. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Panini? So by consent, that carries.
I'm just going to say congratulations to those folks when their dates finally do come, but congratulations to them.
That's a lot of years of service
Yep.
walking out.
Tons of years.
Yes, it is. Okay. So that concludes the Personnel Committee. Now we're on to athletics. Mr. Fitzgerald.
All right. So we're wrapping up winter sports, so just some announcements here on how some of our individuals and teams did. Bowling, they were the Foothills Council champions. At the Section 2 championship, they finished 6th out of 16. So great season for the bowling team. Congratulations. Wrestling, we had 4 wrestlers that won the Class CC. Jesse Mullis, Justin Mullis, Colin Diffie, and Darius Ogundabi. Congratulations to those fine gentlemen and good wrestlers. We had 8 wrestlers competing at the Section 2 championships last weekend. Jesse Mullis and Justin Mullis are both going to be returning to the state championships next weekend in Albany.
Awesome.
Indoor track, we had 3 athletes that placed 3rd at sectionals. We had Colton Bryant for shot put, Owen Nezavera for pole vault, Dan Carpenter for high jump. Catherine Cheney placed 6th in weight throw. Dan Carpenter also qualified to attend Section 2 state qualifier for high jump this past weekend. Boys and girls basketball teams are going to find out their fate for Section 2 seeding tomorrow. Boys swimming, we had Scott Brayton, Liam McPhee, and Griffin Gear competing at sectionals. That's coming this weekend at Shenendehowa. Competitive cheer, they've had 6 competitions so far this year, and they're doing quite well. They've placed 2nd 3 times and 1st place twice. So that's a winning program if I've ever seen one. Foothills Council Championship competition will be hosted here in Hudson Falls next Thursday, the 22nd of February at 9 a.m. Spring sports, JV varsity registration is now open. To avoid any confusion, Family ID is now under the name Arbiter Sports Registration. Still the same online portal, counts are the same. Modified sports registration opens Monday, March 11th. Upcoming events, Mr. Carpenter is coordinating a signing and commitment day to recognize seniors who are going to be moving on to the next level for college athletics. He'll be sending out that information to senior athletes in the coming months so we can plan to hold a ceremony in the spring when spring season wraps up. Mr. Carpenter is also working with the varsity club to coordinate an end-of-year varsity sports award ceremony in June. And this will be to recognize our league all-stars, league sectional champions, and additional athletic awards throughout the year. Any questions? All right, and I got Darius's name right this year, just throwing it out there.
Okay, so if nobody has any questions for Mr. Fitzgerald, we'll move on to audit. Mrs. Grimaldi.
There we go.
Sorry.
Okay, so it is budget season, so we had a pretty lengthy audit committee meeting last week. I'll start with the treasurer's report and work through some of the stuff, and then I'll probably pass it over to Kevin for the budget updates and some other things. So this is the treasurer's report for December of 2023. We had $3.7 million in receipts and $4.8 in disbursements, leaving us a balance in the general fund of $3.7 million and a total cash on hand of $7.3 million. So that puts us in a good spot. The extracurricular account balances are in there in our packets, and kind of some normal activity. Not too much anything out of the ordinary or anything like that. And there is also the detail there if anyone has questions on any of those things. The monthly bills are also in board docs for anyone that might have questions on those. We do have a budget transfer. This is nothing that we need to do approval on because it's below the thresholds, but it is is in there for your information. And those are just, again, more regular. The, new audit company likes to see those a little bit more regularly, so we'll continue to probably see those as they come along. The appropriation status report is also there for your information on where our kind of progress is in the budget of this year. And we do have a resolution for corrective action plan for the ECA audit. This is, I think, similar to we had done the extracurricular accounts for an internal audit. This is the external audit. So we had approved a corrective action report for kind of processes that we've already put in place from the internal audit, but we need to formalize and do it again for the external audit. So that resolution is in there as well. Any questions on treasurer's report or monthly bills or anything? No? Kevin, do you want to talk about budget?
Sure. I remember to turn it on this time. We actually had quite a long conversation involving the 2024 budget. It was our starting point. This year is a little bit going to be a rather interesting year because we're doing budget, we're negotiating for contracts, which heavily involve the budget. We had a governor's proposal that came out that gave us approximately $1.3 million in additional foundation aid, which, as you look at some of the districts and some of our neighboring districts, was actually good. And one of the reasons is we don't really get hit on that save harmless piece that's being proposed. And what that means is our enrollments haven't dropped as much as everybody else has in the area. So we did the revenue side, discussed all the different types of aids, where we're looking. We also discussed the property tax cap, which we did a preliminary on that. It's due March 1st. But our property tax cap is at about 4.15% right now. And we're adjusting one other figure in it, and then that'll be submitted hopefully by Friday. We'll have Dan submit that. So we'll be set for that. And we did the framework part of the budget. So we built in all the salaries, because like right now, at this point in time, there's so many estimates, but we built in our bonds, we built in BOCES programs, what we feel the health insurance is going to go up. We built in a lot of those pieces, and now we're going back through, and we're going to be making adjustments to lessen that down, because the budget is up about $2 million right now, and we do have some trimming to do there to get back for the March meeting, where we'll have a much more accurate figure on that. What's interesting this year is generally the governor's proposal is the starting point. So we're going to get at least that, and then the legislators generally will come over with more money. What's interesting about this year is with so many districts actually having state aid cuts, what happens to that amount? Is that the amount that we're going to get? Do they reinstate some of those cuts in other districts and add more money onto a school district like us, or do they take from districts that did not have cuts and help offset cuts in other districts? So there's a lot of variables. And to add to, I can say from my standpoint, from what I'm hearing through my tunnels and avenues, is there may not be a budget for April 1st. They may be taking their time and coming in a little bit later. So we may actually be adopting a budget without a formal budget from the state at that point in time. So obviously we're playing out scenarios right now, all the different scenarios that we can have, and then we'll start trimming those down and coming up with the final budget figure that we'll present to the board. So.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
As is my wont. So let's say that there's not a firm budget by April 1. So how does that impact the process that we have in place for the budget vote? It doesn't impact it at all?
We
it
still
would
go
just
forward.
impact you guys scurrying at the last minute to fund everything?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. If they adopt their budget late, we still have to go at the same time.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So that's the 24-25 budget. There's a resolution for the ECA audit. Crystal hit the nail on the head. Basically, the internal auditor did the extracurricular classroom accounts last year. We made the corrections starting in this September. Well, part of an external audit is the extra classroom account too. They did that because of the way that, with all the school districts that had to go out and find new auditors this year, the 13, what we ended up doing is having the regular part of our audit done and then the extra classroom done afterwards, so we could get that main piece in and make sure that we didn't have any state aid delays or anything like that because of that. So this was completed, the extra classroom, and one of the findings, there's one findings in it, which there generally tends to be some recommendations in these, but it was something that we've already addressed through the internal audit that we corrected back in September, but when they did this audit, they only audited 22-23. They didn't audit 23-24 when the correction was made. So that corrective action plan that you have before us, that basically says, as of September 6th, 2023, the district instituted new financial controls for across the board for extra classroom funds as recommended the district internal auditor. Meeting minutes, membership votes, and approvals of revenue and expenditures within the club are required. Oversight of any fundraising activities involving cash are increased. These changes were implemented effective September 6, 2023. We actually have that in there twice because you have to have the date in which it's going to be accomplished by, or they'll kick it back out. So these have been put in. It was done at the meeting with all the extra classroom advisors. On September 6th, I actually was at that meeting and heard it, So all we need to do is we need to get a motion and a second on this so that we can submit it to the state and everything will be buttoned up that way. Any questions on that?
Ooh, Kevin, we also have, do we have a tax tertiary as well?
Yes, that came in after the meeting.
Okay, go ahead.
We had discussed, we had mentioned it a couple months ago. Yeah, 2 meetings ago. At the bottom, there we go. Carla Bittner, this is in Article 7, and it's for Baldwin, and the properties are related on Jucket and Martindale. And basically what an Article 7 is when somebody is contesting their assessment and would like a lower assessment. And what can happen is they can go back, if they end up going through an Article 7 proceeding and winning, they can go back a certain number of years. Generally it's 3 years. But what happens is everybody where that property is, the town or village, wherever it's located, gets involved with it, and also the county, and the school district is part of it. But the jurisdiction that it's in, like the town or the village, ultimately has the say in what occurs. Now, luckily here, all those groups work together very closely. The attorneys for those work very closely because actually the biggest impact is on the school, for school taxes. So they basically those attorneys negotiated with the attorneys from Baldwin and came up with an agreement, so it didn't even have to go to court for settlement, that they thought was fair. We've spoken to Carla Bittner, who's our attorney. She's very pleased with this. She thought that they were going to actually try to push to get lower than what it is. But basically, for those 2 properties, they're being moved from $1,800,000 to $700,000, and $1,183,000 to $700,000, and that's for 23. And they also have open cases back to 2016 through 2022 on each of those properties. As part of this settlement, all those are dismissed, so we won't have to pay anything on the back. So ultimately, it comes out, according to our calculation here, of a total refund of $8,358, which when I look at the impact it could have if those other cases were left going, that could be a $65,000 impact or more, depending on where the judge rules. So I feel, and I spoke to Carla and I spoke to Dan about this, this is an appropriate settlement for us to have in this case. And if you agree, we will have to have a motion in a second to approve it, to move forward.
So may I ask a follow-up?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. So we have funds for situations like this,
Correct.
right? This is not going to negatively impact our budget going forward or anything like that.
No, something like this will not, we have a tax associated reserve, and what happens is we do a calculation each year to see what their maximum exposure is. So those are Article 7s that are sitting there waiting to be taken care of, whether it's in a court or if attorneys are going back and forth. That has our maximum exposure in it. We actually set that money aside for this.
Do we have this much money aside?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, yep. So, and we also budget a set amount each year for property tax refunds.
Okay.
So we have to, we can, between those two areas, we cover that very easily.
Thank you.
All set?
Yep.
Okay, we have a lot of resolutions here. So to start, we just need a motion to approve the December of 2023 Treasurer's Report. Amanda, seconded by Mike. All in favor? Opposed? Good, that carries. So we'll start with the first one. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District is in receipt of the Extra Classroom Activity Fund Financial Report from the External Auditor of MMB and Co. We have a motion. Moved by Crystal, seconded by? Megan, all in favor? Opposed? That carries. Be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the corrective action plan for the external audit from MMB and Company regarding extra classroom funds. Do we have a motion? So moved by Mike, seconded by Heidi. Crystal? All in favor? That carries. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the settlement of the real property tax law Article 7 proceedings entitled Baldwin-Hudson Falls LP, Baldwin-/Martindale LP versus the Town of Kingsbury Board of Assessment Review, the Assessor of the Town of Kingsbury, and the Town of Kingsbury, Washington County, New York, as follows. 1, all proceedings of 2016 through 23 shall be discontinued. The assessed value for the 2023 for 41 Jucket Drive shall be set at $700,000. The assessed value for the 2023 for 42 Martindale Terrace shall be set at $700,000. And the last, real property tax law 727 shall apply to this proceedings. Do we have a motion? So moved by Mike, seconded by Heidi. All in favor? Opposed? That carries.
That's all together. For us, that's
Okay.
all one piece.
Oh, this is all one piece. And be it further, the Hudson Falls School District is hereby authorized to make payment of the appropriate refunds for excess principal taxes paid. And be it further, the Board of Education hereby authorizes counsel for the school district, Carla Williams
Bittner.
Esquire, to sign the attached stipulation and consent ordering resolving this matter. So that was a motion we already did?
Yes.
Okay. That was a long one.
That was a long one.
Okay.
That was from the attorney. We thought that one was.
Excellent. All right, that moves us to transportation. Dr. Steele. Short and sweet.
Absolutely. You see the DOT report there, the trip report. The issue with transportation continues to be our workforce. We had one mechanic out on injury, but I won't read names. You can see there are 4 or 5 people there that we are currently in the process of training to be able to drive buses. It's a bit of a struggle for us, but I think that's true of most districts right now. So it's just a field with not a lot of people to hire. So hopefully we'll get several of those people going soon and take some pressure off our transportation department. Fleet management, quick note there, you can read that. And then our fuel prices, as always, for January at the bottom there.
Stan, any questions?
I have one other, because it just occurred today. Today we had a Zoom meeting with the group that's working on our bus electrification study. They provided us with some updates on what's going on with NYSERDA. They also let us know that we are probably 25 weeks from seeing a report from them based on the volume that they are receiving and the volume that the state, that NYSERDA is receiving. So just wanted to give you an update on that. The other piece that you should know is that our legislators and many legislators across the state are asking for very specific transportation information so that they can present an argument or advocate for us on how this is going to impact our community, and our school districts. And the last piece that was interesting today is that the insurance companies are now starting to have conversations about how much our insurance rates should go up based on the cost of these buses and based on the potential fire hazard that these buses could present if a battery is ruptured. And I'm not against electric buses, I'm just sharing information. And the analogy they used for us today was, if you've ever used a flare, a real flare, where you open it, they say it's a chemical reaction that occurs with burning in one direction until it runs out of fuel. And that's what they likened one of those batteries cracking open to being, and they said they burn at 4,300 degrees. So I can see why an insurance company would be concerned. There's currently no way to put those, no equipment and no chemical treatment to put those fires out. So insurance companies are concerned that if you're parking these inside the bus garage and one catches on fire, the entire fleet and facility will burn to the ground because they can't be put out. So
Super well thought out.
yeah,
Finish.
we'll continue being prepared, but we do want to get our study. But it'll be interesting to see how the legislature takes up this topic and how the governor responds to them taking this topic up. And thanks to Kevin and Aaron Cooper and Dave McKeegan and Mary Kay for the work that they are doing and going to do to get the additional information we were asked for today, both for Senator Stack, the information they gave for Kerry Warner previously, and the information our consultants want, because there's more information needed. So.
Have we spoken with our fire chief or anything about his experiences with putting out these electric car batteries?
We have not.
It might be helpful to put his name or opinion, if he's willing to give one in there, about the hazard of these batteries and trying to extinguish these things and lend an expert. I don't know.
Agreed. I agree 100%, because that was not necessarily new information, but that was more detailed and shocking information about the hazard that exists.
I thought they were hard to put out. I wasn't aware that you couldn't put them out.
And I'm not a fire specialist. I'm going by what the consultant said today. And it's pretty concerning. And one of the people around our table were like, so where are the batteries located on the buses? Directly below the passenger compartment, almost exactly where fuel tanks would be on the buses we currently own. So that's a good suggestion. Thank you. We'll do that for sure.
I would suggest contacting the Washington County Bureau of Fire. They may have some more information to provide to us.
Okay.
Are there grants already out, available for application, and are they being awarded already and that kind of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, so that part of the conversation today was that we have been switched based on guidance from the state from the path, from one path to the NYSERDA path, because we qualify it because we're on a specific list. And it actually will cover the cost of the study once it's been applied for and approved by the state with all the proper components. And by having this specific study done and being this specific pipeline, instead of getting $35,000 to install a charger, you get $60,000 to install. So there's financial benefits, and we're on that list, and so they're working to do it in the proper path so that we maximize what we get for grant funding. I will say that it doesn't cover 100% of the costs of anything. But Washington County, you said fire? Bureau of Fire. Thank you.
I can get you in contact there.
That would be great.
When you ask them that question, can you also ask, what is the likelihood that one of these batteries, like,
Right.
if it's a 1 in 10 million chance,
Right.
it's a little less alarming than, these things are all going to be lighting up.
Right. And
Dan said the same thing today. If they're safe, then the insurance shouldn't go up.
Right, right.
Yeah, but that's insurance. But
And you do wonder too, depending on the storage, like if they're out more exposed to like salt and things like that, if there's more likelihood for terminals to rust and create, who knows?
sorry to pile on to your report, but that literally was a noon time today, and you were always asking me about that, so I wanted to get it.
Okay, so any more questions for Dr. Steele or Mr. Ward? That moves us to buildings and grounds. Mrs. Borland. That's next.
Yeah.
He does have a tendency to skip me, but I am all. Okay, so as Mr. Ward mentioned, we are moving forward on the timeline for the capital project. There's the postcard that will go out and the more detailed multi-page newsletter that will follow that. And will the newsletter contain the dates for the meetings?
Yes.
There will be 2 informational sessions for the public that will follow.
Yeah, we're putting, and those are on the postcard as well. So
Okay.
we're announcing those several times. They're on
Oh,
the,
yeah, okay.
they're on the backside, and we have them in little boxes in the newsletter. But newsletter's in version 14, and we're not there yet. So it'll be there by the time it's ready to go out.
And that's all we have for buildings and grounds.
Excellent. Nice and quick. So if you have no questions for Ms. Portman, we'll move to policy. Mrs. Lansman.
Policy's going to be even quicker because we did not meet last month or this month because there was no new policy presented.
And last but not least, advocacy.
Okay,
Suzanne
just a
Jacobitz.
couple of things. Last week we had the ASBA dinner, and the topic was student mental health and wellness. It was a great presentation. And the next ASBA is coming up in March, and I don't think they've released the topic yet.
You know what, I did look that up yesterday, but it's escaping me right now. It's advocacy in the state budget.
Which
Yes.
makes total sense.
Yes.
Right, okay. And then also I had sent out to you a link to advocate for a relook at the budget. So whoever passed that on down the line, thank you very much for your work. And that's all I have.
We did push that out
Yes.
across our, thanks to Brett for that work as well.
On the website.
Yes.
Right on.
Yep. And I think I spoke to it in my video last week too. Yeah, I did, last Friday.
Love it when a plan comes together.
All right, any questions for Mrs. Jacobitz? Okay, so that concludes our committees. We move to new business. We have a new field trip request. You want to?
Yeah, so you can see it there. It's next year's Spanish trip request. The one thing that's a little bit different in that request is I think they may have to leave on the Thursday before break. I'm not adverse to it. It's not what I love the best. But to make the trip work for the kids, I think it makes a lot of sense. If a trip was asking to go 2 weeks outside of the break week, I think we'd have to have a different discussion. But a day or two right before break to get kids on that trip is, to me, well worth it. If there's other questions you have, happy to field them or ask Mrs. Hogan to do so since she's out in the audience. We had a really successful trip last year. Absolutely. Great
If you had a
trip.
chance to read it, did anybody have any questions regarding that at all? Okay. So be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the 2025 Spain field trip. We have request. Do we have a motion? So moved Mike, seconded by Crystal. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries. You want to do the CSU membership?
Yeah, so you have to move it on to the other agenda item. Looking for you to approve the CSE membership. We had some new folks added, so we had some membership change, and it's required that the board does approve that membership each year or any changes thereto during the school year. So it's general stuff that you have to do, although we haven't had a lot of changes during the middle of the year in my 3 years here, but you're always approving this at the July reorganizational. So Mrs. Miles provided a list. I recommend that we take her recommendation on that list and approve that this evening.
No names attached to any of it, just a.
We're just approving the
just
list.
approve the
Yeah,
list.
and people, once it's approved, it's public and people can have the list.
Okay. Okay, so anybody have any questions regarding the CSE membership? So be it resolved, the Board of Education of the Hudson Falls Central School District approves the updated Committee on Special Education Memberships. We had a motion. Moved by Crystal, all in favor? Or second? Second Heidi, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? That carries. Okay, so we
Mr.
do have.
Short one.
We do have a short need for an executive session regarding contract negotiations. I just need a motion to enter executive session. We do not have a need to come back in a regular session.
We
to
do
discuss
not.
anything. Okay. We have a motion to enter. Crystal, seconded by Mike. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Jess.